Aloha, y'all. It is Friday, Freya's Day. Friday, ruled by Freya. The 18th of December. Today is the solar plexus chakra day. Yellow, self existing seed guided by universal fire. So it is a solar plexus Manipura chakra day. Tap into your chakras. This is the fire of willpower. Um, we have the ability to really get things in the will done. Do the mudras, mantras, Ram, mantra, mudra, like so at your belly, and get into that magic. Thank me later, you'll enjoy it. Sun is in Sagittarius, Moon is in Aquarius, Mercury is in Sagittarius, almost conjunct the Sun. Venus is in Sagittarius, Mars is in Aries. Jupiter's at the last degrees of Capricorn. Jupiter's going to enter Aquarius with Saturn, which is in Aquarius, and conjunct on the 21st. That's the great conjunction everyone's talking about. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn. North Node is in Gemini. So let's go ahead and see what we can get for this Freya's Day. I'm in Colorado, and the electric bill was insane for the space heater that I've been using, so I'm turned it off. It's very cold in my room, but got to do what you got to do, right? Eight of Cups is what we're getting. Sometimes the emotional overwhelm, so many options, so many timelines. What do you want to participate, right? So with the cups are emotions, though, like I was just saying, and the Eight of Cups is as follows. Turning your back on what is known, off on a new journey, returning to nature and listening to her wisdom. Eight of Cups, I seek answers to life's big questions. The term vision quest was first coined by the 19th century anthropologist to describe the rite of passage ceremonies of Native American cultures, usually undertaken by boys approaching puberty. Certain preparations were made before the initiate spent a period of days alone in his chosen place in nature. Often fasting for the duration, the boy had to overcome challenges and fears in order to receive wisdom and guidance from nature and the spirit world concerning his purpose and how he might serve his tribe. This wisdom came in the form of symbolic messages in the physical world and through dreams. They can be viewed as both personal and collective events guided and witnessed within the community. The idea of venturing into the wilderness, removed from the routine activities and duties of life, to sit in sacred space, quietening the mind, heightening the senses to travel deeper into the nature of self and existence, is probably as old as humanity. In the artwork, a young man holds his head in sheer bewilderment when faced with the task of gathering the wisdom held in each cup. As one cup flies away, the flames of another lick the fuse of dynamite in its neighbor. A cup spurts noxious green gas, and he is about to unwittingly kick over the cup filled with liquid gold, and on we go. The Eight of Cups very much reflects where I was at when I created it. Ideas were flying away from me. Some important documents I needed were locked away in a security encrypted folder. I had a fever, and I had to think about an art piece that was urgently needed. People were getting heated, tempers were fraying, and I was about to lose money as a result. Just to cap it all off, I discovered a huge patch of green mold in my office which kicked off billions of toxic spores as I removed it. And that's just how it is some days. We must venture into the wilderness of our lives to gather wisdom. Just by virtue of being born, we are thrust into a vast, paradoxical, beautiful, and infinitely complex wilderness. The important takeaway is, from time to time, we need to take ourselves off to unfamiliar parts and be challenged. We must leave behind our comforts and routines to connect with the wilds of nature. Conversely, the cities we inhabit and the tasks we are called upon to do are also nature. Our lives, just as they are, constantly offer us guidance, wisdom, and healing. For the most part, we are just too busy or preoccupied to stop and take note, receive the learning, and allow ourselves to be transformed into a more effective and heart-centered people. In my case, in relation to this card, it was art and life converging to tell me to take care of my physical body, deal with the problems as soon as they happen, and call upon experts to deal with problems I could spend a month of Sundays trying to resolve. The Eight of Cups suggests there is much wisdom and guidance to be gained wherever you are if it fits your intentions. Creating sacred space to sit in nature away from the habitual rhythm of life also may be very valuable. As the having and doing fall away, the being is left. In this culture, we are conditioned to do the opposite, to focus on what we must have materially in our lives, and do the work to manifest it in order to be happy. Be happy, and let everything else find its place. Eight of Cups, turning your back on what is known, off on a new journey, returning to nature and listening to her wisdom. The song I'm going to play in a minute is actually very resonant with this journey of life. we are born into suffering, and we have to learn how to cope well with that through love, ultimately, compassion for ourselves and others. Life is not easy. Life is challenging. You have atoms smashing into each other, galaxies colliding, animals, fighting for mating rights or the right to live, and other animals needing food for their pups back in the cave, so they kill this animal, which had babies itself. It's a shit show. But we have many ways we can operate through this creatively, hopefully. Eight of Cups is about creativity, and this is about knowing that there's an adaptive way to be in all circumstances, but you have to come to your center first in order to know how to jam with the situation, as opposed to trying to like figure everything out and not have that peace in that inner space. Life happens. You are witnessing it. How are you witnessing it? Because you're witnessing in your ability or inability to like center, calm, collect, play, right? Flow makes these situations which exist colored in different ways, and ultimately, we limit and retard ourselves much more so when we're not in a place of acceptance, flow, creativity, playfulness, openness, thankfulness. Doesn't mean, like he was saying, he had a bunch of people bitching at him about projects. He was sick. He couldn't get to the stuff. He was going to lose money. All this stuff, and he's like, I had to come back to my center. So yes, we're looking for the the meta narrative, the one equation to solve all things, and it's us. And if we're not doing our work, the as within, so without. If the as within is all fucked up, even if the so without's not fucked up, it will be not approached properly. So that work is necessito. We have the 9 of water, I believe. So let's look up what that's about. Got a lot of water energy. It is counteracting at some level, it seems, the energy that is in the air right now. So right now it's Sagittarius Sun, Mercury and Venus in Sagittarius, right? Moon in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, all this air and all this fire, Mars in Aries. We need to, I'm holding up the wrong card. We need to tap into the waters of intuition and calmness, flow, right? Keywords: illumination, acceptance, like what it's saying, openness, emotional enlightenment, strength, courage, fear, and ignorance. Key phrases about opening your heart. Past experiences leave an emotional imprint. Shine a light on the source of the emotional pain. The effect of past experiences on the present moment. How are you letting the baggage of the past influence your present moment? How are you letting the worries of the future take out your peace now? The weight of our emotions, the heaviness, emotional enlightenment, the process of becoming lighter. Moon in Aquarius, how do we lighten? How do we become more emotional, more emotionally open? Ignorance is not bliss. Break the cycle, remove the emotional hooks. The very first thing to be born in the darkness of the void was light. The 9 of water represents a need to embrace an open heart and allow the light of love to transform and heal emotional pain and turn it into the knowledge that sets us free. Our past experiences, good and bad, leave an emotional imprint. Remember, joy and love can inspire a sense of well-being. A happy memory creates a feeling within that curves the lips and makes us smile or laugh, while a bad memory can cause tears and open old wounds we thought that we had healed and were forgotten long ago. Have you ever heard a song playing on the radio and had tears form in your eyes because the song was one you shared with a past love who broke your heart? Have you ever had somebody say something to you that has triggered anger because they have touched on deep-rooted, remembered anger towards another who said the very same words? Have you ever started laughing uncontrollably because a silly moment in the now stirred up memories of a silly, happy moment in the past? Our emotions can lift us as high as the stars or plummet us into the abyss of despair, and yet, all too often, we do not know or understand why we feel and react as we do, right? We're confused. He's like, oh my God, why is all these things happening? It's like, look at all these emotional realities. How am I supposed to operate in these? What am I supposed to feel? What makes some memories so much more vivid and unforgettable? What makes them unforgettable is how they made us feel. This emotional imprinting at work and through it, we can and do bind ourselves emotionally to in the past. In the present, these imprints become triggers that have us reacting on almost purely emotional reflex levels. In our mind, if our mind was a bank in which we could choose what memories we save, the majority would save only the memories that made them smile, while discarding those that made them cry. Cue Inside Out, where it's like joy just wants happy memories, sadness, go away. But sadness is intrinsic to, it's important too. It takes all kinds. There would be so many happy, smiling people in the world if we chose to keep only the happy memories that make us smile. Unfortunately, we have no choice, but we do have a choice in recognizing our emotional triggers so that the bad memories or those laden with emotionally weighty emotions have less of an influence upon us, holding on loosely, right? By shining a light on the source of the emotional pain, awareness, shining a light on the emotional pain, Saturn as well as the moon in Aquarius. I just lost my place. By shining a light on the source of the emotional pain and then accepting that moment that caused it is over and cannot be changed or undone, acceptance, we take the first step of freeing ourselves from the emotional hooks that bind us to the past. Recognizing how we feel and react when recalling the moment or experiencing one like it is the next step towards emotional awareness. Finally, in being mindful and learning not to react when an emotional trigger is squeezed, we reach emotional enlightenment, a state when we are no longer shackled. Eventually, there comes a time when we no longer have to be mindful because the memory no longer has any influence. The hurt has healed and we have transcended. So instead of being confused and reacting in anger or fear and disgust and all these kind of things, we just witness well and we participate well, or better, I guess you could say. Emotional enlightenment is not a gentle process. It ain't easy. It involves rummaging through our memories, revisiting old hurts, seeing them and accepting them for what they are, letting go of harmful and destructive beliefs, and then freeing ourselves of the burden of their emotional weight. It takes time and practice, and at the beginning of the process, we can be more. You'd think it's a Mercury retrograde. I'm stuttering so much. I apologize. We can be more reactive than usual. It's like trying to run up a muddy, slippery slope. We lose our footing, fall, and slip backwards. For some, the process is simply too difficult. Others resist, wondering why anyone would consciously choose to explore and relive their deepest, most painful memories. It's like choosing to cut open old scars to make them wounds all over again. The reality is, they are correct. It is like cutting open a scar, but aggressive measures are needed if a cancer grows beneath the scar tissue. If past memories are making you emotionally reactive in a way that is counterproductive in the present moment, then there is a cancer present. You might not be reliving the memories consciously, but when they have power to influence how you feel and react to the present, then you are reliving those memories on an unconscious level. So the choice is one between having those memories influence you unconsciously or being mindful and aware of and lessening or ending their influence. The Nine of Water offers the choice and asks you to make it. You might not have a choice in the memories your mind stores, but you do have a choice as to which ones you invest in emotionally, whether it be past memories or in new ones. Invest in those that fill you with love and lightness and find yourself rising from the depths. Just as emotional enlightenment is not an easy process, it is also not a spiritual process. It is a healing process. It is the process of making ourselves lighter in being, becoming lighter, enlightenment, right? By letting go of the heavy emotions we unconsciously hold on to and which in turn influence our emotional and physical being in the present. When the Nine of Water appears in your reading, you are also being asked to consider if, at this time, one of your emotional triggers is being squeezed for good or ill. Asking this question will help you help you to determine whether you are acting from a right or wrong reasons, right? So we have to be really emotionally aware of much, right? It could be overwhelming, new journeys, and maybe this new journey is one of healing, which isn't easy. Out of the darkness comes light. In the beginning was the waters, and then the Spirit said, let there be light. The Spirit hovering over the waters, and then let there be light. That awareness, right? That's how we are going constantly into the dream deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's a privilege. Don't think of it as a burden. It doesn't make it easy. Just like, Lewis and Clark, it was a privilege to go exploring all the way to the Pacific, but like they came into contact with hostile natives. They came into contact with grizzly bears, waterfalls, disease, starvation, whatever, right? It doesn't make it easy, but we can flow with the journey or resist it. And resistance, as they say, is futile. And that's the biggest lesson. Upon death, like life is a resistance to death in a sense. And at one point you're going to stop resisting death and it will consume you. And that's the whole death process. We have the pulse of life, very appropriate. Number 2. And this is actually very, very appropriate because the solstice and this grand conjunction is on top of what's called the galactic center in Sagittarius, the dark spot of the Milky Way. So this will talk about something that's astrologically even appropriate at this week. Galactic core, pulse of life parallel. Like a great galactic clock, the galaxy's core calibrates the rhythm of the evolution of consciousness through its wave emissions. More water, waves, sound waves maybe, but energy waves. Ancient civilizations such as the Mayan were fully connected to it and were able to plot a galactic calendar, which is what I've been talking about. The dream spell is a rendition of that calendar using this wisdom. All life, including you, can feel the pulse from the core. Look out into the night sky and connect with the dark spot in the Milky Way. Let yourself breathe in this energy, resetting to the natural pulse of the universe. You cannot rush evolution. You can't rush healing, right? You can't just be like, I'm going to drink. I mean, that's what psychedelics and meditation help facilitate, but you can't rush it. Like sometimes it takes a moment, a choice, a day, weeks, months, who knows? It could be overwhelming at times, but you're on a journey of healing. You're on a journey of becoming trapped and then freeing yourself. It's both and. Breathe in this energy, resetting your natural pulse of the universe. You can't rush evolution. This is the card of trust. Let go and allow the universe to work through you. Surrender. While creation spans an infinite number of galaxies and states of consciousness, this card represents the energy of our home galaxy, the Milky Way. At the center of any galaxy, the core acts like a metronome, almost like a heartbeat that guides the pace of evolution of all consciousness in that particular galaxy. The Maya and other civilizations understood this great role played by the galactic core and were able to interpret this pulse through their advanced calendar system that described the process of evolution from separation back into unity. Everyone is attuned to this metronome, but only some can feel it. In the year 2012, our solar system crossed over this galactic disk, beginning a new 13,000-year cycle of evolution. We are now able to access a whole new energy that facilitates integration and evolution during this new cycle. Some have also called this the rising of the cosmic feminine. If this card has come up in your reading, then it is either acknowledging your innate connection to this galactic pulse, or it is encouraging you to begin developing it. When you do this, the cosmic plan unfolds within you, and it becomes so much easier to connect with the higher self and flow with the natural current of your life instead of trying to manipulate events with the ego personality. Connecting with this energy brings a tremendous sense of peace and stillness and truly facilitates your journey back home, right? Instead of being overwhelmed by our minds and our ego of like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Get to a place of stillness, of integration, of acceptance, new journeys into a place of emotional balance and emotional freedom. That is physically possible by envisioning the galactic core, aligning with it as the Mayans and other cultures did. So these guys aren't joking around. There's real magic out there. You just have to be willing to say, yes, there's real magic, and I don't know everything, and what else is there? North Node and Gemini. Everyone should be moving into that direction. Curiosity, playfulness, openness, non-polarity. It's ironic because Gemini is like a duality, but it's like in seeing both, you can't say there's only one. Sagittarius South Node says there's one truth. This is the way. Thus says the Lord, right? It's very kind of crusading and truth-oriented, capital T. There's multiple truths. There's particle and wave. There's male and female and stuff. And so you can kind of loosen your grip and really kind of see the multiplicity of reality, not being overwhelmed, hopefully, by it, but emotionally integrating through it. Look at all these particles and light. It's like there's light and darkness, right? There's a pulse. Like a pulse means there's energy and then there's lack of energy, right? A wave is like, here's a high point and a low point, non-energy and energy oscillating at a higher frequency or whatever. That pulse shows duality, and that's the North Node in Gemini, which is actually right between my sun and moon right now. So come this way, come to what I'm talking about. Stability, 8. We've got the 8 of Cups, and we have the pulse of life saying how to be stable in times of change. Look at the situation as a big situation. Stability, Honu, is a turtle in Hawaiian. 8. So, turtle, stability. And what we should be, our solar plexus is the middle, it's our core, right? Our stomach, kind of basically. So it's like try to have that stability in your center of being and going up and down, and you will find yourself in a more stabilized emotional place, mental place, physical place, right? When your posture is proper, and it's because your core is strong. Stability. Operating from a stable base is advantageous. If you need help and guidance, ask for it. As you are loved and supported, ask and you shall receive, right? Pray. Talk, commune with nature, with God, with the spirits, with your ancestors, with your DNA, with your body, with your higher self, all these things. Don't just be like, I get it, I know what's going on. South Node and Sagittarius. Be like, oh, I don't know, I've never tried that. Let me play around with it. North Node and Gemini. Delve deeply into the study of something rather than just skimming the surface. That's the Sun, Mercury, and Venus and Sag. It's like, don't just be a jack of all trades. Like, go big or go home. Do not push hard for what you want all the time. Instead, set an intention or direction and steadily flow towards this. The 9 of water, the 8 of cups. We're flowing, right? Not every journey needs to be a difficult one full of drama. That's the struggle. That's the resistance. Mythos. There was a beautiful and magical sea turtle called Ho'oponopono who lived on the waters of the big island of Hawaii. She was happy, but it was time for her to meet a husband. She met a strong, kind sea turtle called Honoea, who was also magical. Soon it was time for Honopokea and to lay her eggs. This she did, a large single black egg patterned like the dark wood of the kailua tree. A large single black patterned egg, the galactic core, right? It's like spackle patterning on a dark egg. It's like that's the Milky Way core of the galaxy, pulse of life. While the turtle parents waited for the baby to hatch, they dug a hole nearby, and they dug it so deeply that a freshwater spring came forth and a beautiful pool was formed. Moon and Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius, the water bearer. They dug so deep that the water was born into the hole. Soon the baby was hatched and rose up out of the sand, a young female turtle just as magical as her parents. They named her Kailua after the tree. She had a very pretty pale head, and yet her shell was strong, dark, and domed, powerfully protective even in someone so young. Kailua saw the cool, clear spring pond and headed straight for it, happy that she had a home for herself. She went to the waters, right? 9 of water, 8 of cups. She swam down deeply and made silvery bubbles that burst upon the surface. Soon young human children discovered the pond. Moon and Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius, teams, groups of people, friends. North Node and Gemini, playful kids. Soon some kids basically discovered the pond, and Kailua allowed them to ride upon her back if they were fatigued, and sometimes she would even transform herself into a young girl so she could play with them. North Node and Gemini were playing around as kids, inner child stuff. When the children visited and they noticed the bubbles popping up from below the water, they knew that Kailua was in the pool with them, making sure that they were safe. Animal. One of the highlights of my life so far is being lucky enough to witness tens of little sea turtles hatch on a moonlit night on a beach in eastern Africa. Out they came, tumbling down the dune, heading towards the bright lunar light and struggling valiantly towards the safety of the ocean. Some became confused about what light to follow, and some were found scrambling along the hallway of a brightly lit beachfront hotel. Cradling gently one of these wanderers in my hand and taking a closer look, I was moved to see that this little green wonder had a tiny bloody mark on its belly. I picked up another. This one did too. As I released them into the dark ocean, I thought, yes, baby turtles also have a naval birth, right? We're all in this together. Everything is just being born into this crazy shit show, and we have to have compassion for them as much as ourselves. On average, 100 of 100 eggs laid and hatched, only one will survive to maturity. Life is not easy. However, that one little sea turtle will live for over 50 years. Females mate while at sea and then return to their hatching place, quietly and solitarily laying a clutch of eggs on the same beach at night. The exception to this are Kemp Ridley sea turtles, which arrive en masse, called the Arabada, during the day. Turtles are one of the only creatures to eat seagrasses, an important cyclic action for the health and stability of the ecosystem. Other common foods are jellyfish, snails, sponges, and crabs. Eggs that are laid and not hatched eventually degrade and nourish the dune plants. Migrating long distances of 1,200 kilometers or more to breeding territories is a hallmark of many turtles. And yes, like the sea turtles featured in a famous animated movie, Finding Nemo, they do ride the currents. Totally. The magic. Sea turtle magic flows to us with stability and resilience. When you want something to come to fruition but do not want to have to push very hard for it, when you want to flow towards it, as you perhaps have habitually done, ride the wave of sea turtle magic with its ease and surety. Sea turtles travel long distances, yet they follow the currents and hitch a ride. They use the energy of the pulse of life. They're tuned in, right, to the pulse of life around them. So they use the water to their advantage, right? They're not so confused. They're like, where am I going? They're like, this is going to take me where I need to go. Where that specifically is might be up for grabs, but it's not hurting them. They follow the currents and hitch a ride. You too can do this energetically and refuse to be pressured. Sometimes you need to accept someone else's more stable helping hand so you can rest a little, a healthy part of the lesson of the sea turtle. Symbologies: bubbles, the turtle shell, the unique eye-shaped shells. Status: of the 7 species of sea turtles, all are on the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List of endangered species as being either endangered or critically endangered. It's probably the loggerhead turtle that are now most endangered. How can you help protect sea turtles? Be aware of where turtles nest, and if you are in a nesting area, turn off any ambient light. You want the hatchlings to go towards the moon and the water, not your home. Keep the sea clean by doing beach cleanups and reduce plastic use. Report stores that sell illegal turtle shells and products, and support conservation efforts and laws that prohibit long line fishing, especially without sea turtle excluders. So, that's, stabilizing water energy. We can be stable in the water. It's like a sensory deprivation tank. You can float and be fine in that water. So the art oracle for the day is... Oh, I can't pick up this card. Diane Arbus. Got the North Node in Gemini. So, very, the twins being represented here. And Aquarius is about technology. She's got a camera. She was a photographer. So we'll see. But this also plays into like 9 of water, 8 of cups, emotionality. Also with Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Sag with like seeing certain truths. Diane Arbus began as a commercial and fashion photographer with her then husband, Alan, but she was always more interested in the fringes. Saturn and Moon in Aquarius. Weird things. Wandering New York's morgues and forgotten corners, Arbus saw her light in the city's shadows. And what was it talking about in the 9 of water? You see the light because of the darkness. It separates, right? You move towards that. After separating from Alan, she made a name for herself by taking head-on photographs of people in the margins, the so-called ordinary freaks, outsiders in society's castaways, Moon and Saturn in Aquarius. Jupiter almost in an Aquarius. She took her own life in 1972 and remains as controversial and influential now as she was in her lifetime. So the advice we're going to get from Diane Arbus is look directly at what you're avoiding, right? Shadow work. This is kind of what it was talking about in the cards, right? So what are we avoiding? Like maybe we're saying, oh, this doesn't feel emotionally right and this does, and there's all these possibilities and I'm overwhelmed and I don't know which way to go. It's like take a deep breath, go in there, play with it, North Node and Gemini, play with it in such a way that you feel like the kids with the turtle. You'll find stability in play, ultimately, and through emotional catharsis, right? Don't, like she's looking at this light and she's going, I'll heal, I'll leave this dark place and I'll go that way, towards the light. That is going to be what heals her ultimately. Using the pulse of life, the metronome of life, the clock, tick, tick, tick. Life has a rhythm. Find it. And it does align with the galactic center, which we're going to be looking at astrologically in the next few days. So look at directly at whatever you're avoiding. Just, it was talking about like, don't cut open wounds. It's like if there's cancer under your scar, you want to take out the cancer so it doesn't kill you, even if it's painful. Don't avoid, what you're looking at. Or I'm misstating this. Look directly at what you're avoiding, right? So if you're like, oh, no, there's something to be done, but I'm too sensitive. It's like, figure out how to be less sensitive, Aquarius Moon, Saturn and Aquarius, and rise above, see the big picture and be like, this hurts, but, cut off the leg, doc, or else I'll die of gangrene. We're getting lapis lazuli as the stone. What it is, and you can quantumly entangle with this, you don't have to own it. What it is, a deep blue stone with deep history. We're talking about this 9 of waters, this stability, right? The turtle, Honu, the deep waters that the little turtle was in. Also with the 8 of cups, deep water, right? Deep blue. See ancient Egypt, Tutankhamun's eyeshadow, the Old Testament, the high priest of Israel's vestments, and the Dutch Golden Age, Vermeer's palette. Who needs it? Cat people, Leos, anyone who uses the phrase, in a past life, I'm totally convinced I was... Where to put it? As a spiritual armor that lets the world know when I walk into a room, it's customary for y'all to bend the knee. When to use it? When your thoughts are not your friends. Call on lapis lazuli to help get you out of whatever your mind has gotten you into. Ascend your rightful throne, right? This 9 of water is really showing an ascension. She's ascending to the light of her true being, right? Hopefully in an emotionally stable way, a grounded way, turtle, but she's using the rhythms of life to find that place. Be in tune with the harmonies that exist. I was just telling my brother, it's like nothing's ever out of harmony. If you're a musician, it's like sometimes it's like 6 tritones stacked, which is very discordant. It's still a harmony. It's a certain I Ching flavor. Like there's a certain color palette, right? And then sometimes it's like all one unison, octave. It's like that's a very different harmony. It's still in harmony. And then there's like major chords, minor chords. These are harmonies. We're playing a song of creation, right? And we need to ascend your rightful throne. That means making choices that are coming from a playful and emotionally open place, a healed place, knowing that you're always held and stable, like this little girl on top of the sea turtle. She doesn't have to sweat the piranhas or sharks or waves or whatever currents because she's on the stable water, but she's not avoiding life. Pulse of life, tap into it and look directly what you're avoiding, because where the light is behind the shadow. The wound holds the medicine. So just always avoiding things you don't like, going for comfortability's sake, the easy button all the time, not a good look. You will live a life unfulfilled. Oh, my computer maybe has just died. 1 second. I thought it had battery. Well, okay, it's restarting. So, you don't want to be avoiding things, right? Avoiding confrontation. Sometimes it doesn't mean go aggressively pursue things. Sometimes you're avoiding just being still and silent and being with yourself. Other times, avoiding people because they'll hurt you. They may. Life is a risky business, but we're here to live life, not avoid it. But we're also here not to overly attach to it, holding on loosely, right? So, here's a song. That kind of shows this Aquarius moon, Saturn in Aquarius now, where it's like we see the big picture, we could see the inner machinations, we see all these tendrils, and with the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Sagittarius, we're still shooting for hope, positivity. With the North Node of Gemini, we're like, we want to play. This is from Les Miserables. It's called One Day More. And the idea here is that life comes at you one moment at a time. Get in rhythm with that pulse of life. Don't hide under the wounds. You become callous to life for protection's sake, and that isn't. There's a time for that, and there's a time to get out of that. Isolation, self-pity, oversensitivity to life. Like, engage life. It hurts. Mothers cry and bleed and scream when they have babies, but it's worth it. They don't avoid it. So, one day more, another day, another destiny, this never-ending road to Calvary. These men who seem to know my crime will surely come a second time. One day more, did not live until today. How can I live when we are parted? One day more, tomorrow you'll be whirled away. Yet with you, my world has started. One more day I'm on my own. Will we ever meet again? One more day with him, not caring I was born to be with you. What a life I might have known, and I swear I will be true. But he never saw me there. One more day before the storm. Whoops. Let's try that again. One more day before the storm. Do I follow where she's gone? At the barricades of freedom, shall I join my brothers there? When all ranks begin to form, do I stay and do I dare? Will you take your place with me? The time is now, the day is here. One day more, one more day till revolution. We will nip it in the bud. We'll be ready for these schoolboys. They will drip themselves with blood. Watch 'em run amok, catch 'em as they fall. Never know your luck when there's a free-for-all. Here a little dip, there a little touch. Most of them are goners, so they won't miss much. Oh my gosh, this is like a part of the musical. There's like 6 people singing, and I'm like, how do I even do this? The chords. One day. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I think you need like a symphony and like 8 singers. So you got different people singing different parts of the revolution. One person's like, "Oh my gosh, all these revolutionaries are gonna get their asses kicked to them." The young people are like, "Do we go fight for this stuff? I'm gonna cry. It's one of the best stories of musicals. Les Miserables. If you don't know, check it out. The movies are decent too. Check out the musical from Broadway, the original 1985 cast on YouTube, and just let yourself soak into the story. It's beautiful. There's lovers who are getting split. Will I ever see you again? There's people being like, I've built my whole life up, and now it's gonna fall. There's people who have never had. And they're like, people are gonna die. We're gonna take their shit. It's a free for all. Chaos, confusion, right? I'll just try this last moment. Sorry, I lost myself here. Tomorrow we'll discover what our God in heaven has in store. One day more, one more dawn, one more day, one day more. That's a weird song. I don't know why I picked that, but it resonates enough that I did it. So, I'm sorry for getting all emotional here. Guys, all sorts of things can happen. People can lose money, people can make money, people can die, people can live more, people can find love, people can lose love. How are you feeling in that? Do you feel open to all? Say yes to life. Say yes to everything. Say yes to the light. Talking Heads have an album called Remain in Light, right? Enlightenment, lighten up, move towards the higher, lighter vibrations, love, right? The density, the darkness exists, don't deny it, but then also, find your stability. It's the middle path. Don't just be nihilistic and cynical. Don't just be all love and light and everything's okay and there's no such thing as death or whatever, right? The pulse of life. There's ups and there's downs. It's like there's sound, there's silence, right? Look directly at what look directly at what you're avoiding. And we'll be soon astrologically aligned with the galactic center, where there's a black hole. We avoid that kind of idea. Look directly at that thing, right? Ascend your rightful throne. Everybody is exactly where they need to be. Everybody's moving into different trajectories. It's all one beautiful thing, playing with itself in an infinite number of ways. And the more we realize that, the more empowered we'll feel, the more flow we'll feel, the more grateful we'll feel, the more hopeful we'll feel, the more in control is not the right word, but powerful and influential solar plexus chakra we'll feel. We can orient ourselves in life, knowing that life happens to us as well as through us, right? It's like, oh, shit happens, yes, and then it's like, I can control some things, yes. Take full responsibility and say, I am in the present moment, and this is how it's going, and I accept that. Acceptance is critical here. Even accepting that I didn't know what the fuck to do with that song, right? That was kind of like a like chaotic moment, right? I was like, oh shit, I don't know what to sing and I don't know these chords, and this takes a whole troupe of singers and orchestra. I plowed through it, right? You can plow through it too. Willpower day, right? I willed myself through that. I could have just started freaking out, but I didn't. Ha! So you get to see even, grace through failure in a way. So we're all gracefully failing. That's what life is, and we're all moving towards higher resolutions of less failure, more light, less dark. The light wins, but it's all one, right? The Metatron's cube, it's all one thing. Sometimes you're in this dark void space. Sometimes you're in a very organized situation. Sometimes it's like a linear process. It's all one dream. We're all dreaming differently, and it's a beautiful process. So love yourself, love each other, have compassion for yourself. Be like, wow, I really signed up for this shit, but I'm here. I can do this, and give that kind of compassion and grace to others. Extend that. Be like, man, you're fucking up, but you're trying. Right? And we can do this. We can do this. We're doing it now. So you're here, you're alive, you're conscious, you're here, just make it more mindful and rest into the emotions and be thankful. Move towards the light. Get in tune with the pulse of life. No podcast today. We had one yesterday, but it didn't work out because the guy was driving to Sedona, so we lost reception. That was whatever. But we've got one tomorrow. This is Nora, which will be fascinating. Synchromistic author who just made out a book that's really profound about Finnegan's Wake of Philip K. Dick and Terence McKenna and all sorts of cool stuff, magic, poetry, ultimately. And I think we also have Morgan. He's in New Zealand. So the second guy is Nora. He's in Japan right now. He's a Canadian in Japan. And then Morgan is in New Zealand, and he's got all sorts of decks, oracle decks, and he's magical. He's very fun and loose and cool. That'll be fun. I've been aware of him for a long time on Facebook, but we've never fully talked, and this will be fun to kind of just flesh out some ideas and play magically with him, with both of them, quite frankly. So check out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. You'll love it. I promise. I'm not just selling my shit. It's like people love it. People love being on it. People like listening to it. I like doing it, so it can't be that bad, right? It's playful. North Node and Gemini. Go this way. If you felt like this helped, share it, like it, do whatever you feel, to add momentum to the energy that you agree with. And what you don't agree with, chop away with, but don't deny it, right? It's a balancing act. We all see this. Tip if you want. I'm actually, over the holidays, reducing my rates for astrology and tarot readings. So instead of $88 for 2 to 4 hour astrology reading, it's $44. Half off. Fucking get it while it's hot. These are COVID kind of pandemic prices. People need help. I need finances, and you all need guidance, and together we can ride the waves of the tides, right? So half off. So $44 astrology readings. You're not going to find a better value for that, I promise you, for the quality and the time and all this stuff. Very good. And it's probably less than minimum wage ultimately. But and $22 for cards. So an hour long of a card session. We'll pull cards, talk about your life, pray, all sorts of cool shit. It's amazing. People love it. 5 stars only. Check it out. Otherwise, everybody enjoy your Fridays, your Freya's Day. Get in your, feels, love life. Get into a place of Manipura power, and be grateful and know that you're here witnessing this, and you're living the dream. Quite literally, you're living in the dream. Have a beautiful day.